Welcome to Community Capital, a podcast about visionary founders and dedicated community builders who are shaping the future one connection at a time. I'm your host, Zara Nukvi, head of founder community at Republic. Today, I'm speaking with Jade and Sabrina, the co-founders of 4am Skin. Jade and Sabrina met when they were in undergrad at Georgetown. Jade went on to be an investment banker, and Sabrina was studying pre-med, specifically dermatology. 4am Skin, their brand, is rooted in simplifying the skincare process. We're going to talk all about how they built an incredible community on TikTok, choosing the right partners to launch your brand with, how they're thinking about fundraising as well, and building in public. Hi guys, thank you so much for coming to the Community Capital podcast that we're filming here at Republic HQ in New York City. Obviously, you both know I'm huge fans of you. I feel like you have so much wisdom to impart on our listeners, particularly founders, with all the success that you've had. I think the first question I want to open up with is, like I referenced, you both have had a lot of success in your career with 4am, but everything before that as well. Did you guys always know you wanted to be founders, or kind of how did this path or this job, I guess, find its way to you?
It's funny because everyone always asks me, did you know you were going to make a skincare brand, whatever, and apparently when I was 5 years old, I always told my mom, I want to make a makeup brand, or I want to do something, I want to make makeup. And then even in high school, my mom never let me wear makeup because she was like, it's going to be worse for your pimples. I had really, really bad hormonal acne as a teenager. And so I'd always say, I wish there was like a foundation where like it healed your skin like as you were wearing it. I want to create that. Like, why is that not a thing? And then I guess through college, it kind of went a different direction where I was very focused on medicine and being pre-med and studying dermatology and actually healing skin. So not necessarily the product side of it, and then came kind of full circle back to 4am. And I always knew I wanted to do something in the space. I thought it was going to be way down the line when I was actually a doctor and not this quick. But I think, for me, I've always been really interested in the space. Didn't know how it was necessarily going to manifest, but I definitely think that it was something that I've always really wanted to do.
I guess when it came to 4am, I love hearing from founders if there was like a moment, or rather a set of moments that led you to realizing like, I want to build this, whatever it is, like whatever the problem was. What was that moment like for both of you?
Yeah, I guess there was kind of two prongs to that. So really the genesis of 4am was, so Jade and I went to college together. We went to Georgetown, and we're best friends from college. And she was 2 years older than myself. When you went to your banking job at JP in New York, came to me. I was always that skincare junkie, and was like, my face looks miserable right now.
Very work hard, play hard. Like, I am very bad at saying no. Despite having to be in the office at like 7 a.m., I would also go out. Like, I'm someone who never wants to sacrifice anything, but I could see the impact that was having on my skin. And I was also ready to invest in my skincare.
Yeah, and so I was like, there is this like great like K-beauty routine. It's like an essence and a toner and this and that. And she's like, Sab, I have like 5 minutes from trying to rush to take a shower at Barry's to like get to the trading floor. I'm not gonna do all these things, and I don't want all this like shit in my work bag, basically. What's like the one thing that I need? And I was like, what? Just one? Like, no. Like, if you want a luxury routine, like, it needs to be all these things and these steps. And then it even like kind of dawned on me, like, why is it that skincare is so complicated? Like, why is there not this all-in-one solution? And it's funny that like both of us, one, me being the product junkie and loving all of it, was like, there needs something simpler. And Jade was like, I'm just not gonna do all of this. Like, I want something that's like an all-in-one that's simple, but actually still packs a punch and feels luxury. We really felt like, skincare is like this one space where if you're a luxury consumer, you're actually been asked to do more. And typically, like, especially with like Amazon Prime and just like like where we're at in 2023, things that you pay more for are usually simpler. They're delivered to you. And it was kind of this thing where we went back to the drawing board and was like, hey, like, can we make a product that is this like all-in-one product that has like, let's say, like every active ingredient that you'd want in a skincare routine? And that's where our hero product came out of. The routine. And then it wasn't really until like a couple months later where we had basically had the idea for a product. We had a name, we had talked to some labs, we had talked to some chemists, and we had done all of the really like meat of the research behind it. And we were like, wait, we kind of have a product. Should we make a brand around this? And it was, it's funny because it's so on brand. It was at a Versace party during Art Basel in 2019. I'll never forget this. Me and Jade were just like there being like, what, how did we get into this room? Like, what are we doing? We were drinking our little tequila drinks, and there was this meme that I saw that was like a champagne bottle, and it's like, fun night with friends. And then the next like half of the bottle was like, that's it. In 2 weeks, we're gonna put our 2 weeks notice, quit our jobs, file for an LLC, and make a beauty brand. And I like showed Jade, and I was like, this is us. Like, we should make a beauty brand. Like, I know it's the alcohol talking, but we should actually go for it and do it. And then the next day, we filed for a C corp, not an LLC, but same difference. We actually started kind of going after it.
Yeah, I mean, when it also comes to founding a company, I feel like we hear a lot of the stories about like developing the brand and what it looks like, and I think 4am has such a unique brand that really is part of what the hero product is, like the whole mentality and ethos behind the brand. But I guess when it came to like that moment, that decision that you were going to go forward, I always love to know like what were the things you did the next day where you like, okay, you said you filed the formation of actually making the legal entity, but then like how did the name 4am come up? Like when did you do the branding? And then how does like the process even begin for starting to create a physical product, especially one as complex as what you've done with the first 2 products you launched?
I think, oh sorry, go for it, Jade.
Funnily enough, the name was not 4am at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a stupid
was a
name.
little embarrassing.
It's okay, we don't have to say it.
It was just our 2 names combined, which seems very amateur. It was like Sade, like whatever. It was like silly.
It also means simple in Persian. And
Yeah,
that's like my first language, so I was like, oh, that makes sense.
And then
We're very happy that it's called 4am
and then
now.
we actually ended up having like trademark issues with that.
We thought our lives were over. This is actually an advice for, I guess, a lot of founders or people that want to start a business. If you run into problems and you think your business is over, usually you'll actually pivot and it will be much better.
Yeah. And then also, if there's one advice on like trademarking stuff, like if you don't, like you might think that you have a lot, like we had made like a logo and a brand deck with our old name. And so when the lawyers came to us and they were like, yeah, you probably shouldn't like do anything with this, because like, and we were like, no, like we've already done so much, like can we go around this, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, we had so little with that name. Like we hadn't
even launched
we
yet.
We had a design for the bottles that had the old name, but we had not put those into production. Now I think back and had we kept that and then run into trademark issues, like it would have been horrible. It would have been horrible. But now we have everything like set up properly, et cetera. So I'm so happy that like that was the advice we were given. As much as it seems like you built so much, you really haven't, and you're like, get rid of those problems as early as possible.
Yeah. And make mistakes, but fix them fast. Basically, is kind of the thing.
When it comes to just consumer products in general, I'm always fascinated by the process of creation. Like, how did you go about finding a lab? Like, do you start with a component first? And this is honestly just because I buy so many consumer products, so I'm constantly fascinated by how you even like start those conversations and go forward with it.
A lot of it is your vibe with like the people that you're talking to, and saying, okay, when I speak to these people, do they seem excited about the product that I want to make? Are they responsive? Like, do I get along with these people? Because you're gonna have to.
It's a marriage at the end of
talk
the day.
to them a lot. You're gonna if you don't like the product, you have to be able to be open with them and say, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that.
I think the biggest thing for us, which I loved, was that it felt like Jade said, like really a marriage with our chemists that we work with. And you know, when I was making the product, I was 21 at the time. I was just getting into dermatology research, and I thought I was very knowledgeable about a lot of things. I mean, I think obviously they're like very focused in the chemistry, but I had such a idea of what the product was going to be, and they were so receptive to it, of like, hey, okay, let's build this together. We really love your vision, and then we're going to refine it based off of like safety and whatever. But they really let us take the reins on it, which I thought was something that was a big reason on why we decided to go with the lab that we did, because a lot of other ones were kind of like, no, this is the market trend, you don't know anything, we're not gonna, trust your vision. We'll just tell you kind of what to do, and we'll give you some like contracted manufactured, like already white labeled thing.
Yeah, because the big thing for us is our serums are completely custom to us. That formula is ours. And that's not necessarily, even like big brands will kind of like, especially like celebrity backed brands, a lot of times what they're doing is they're not coming up with a custom formula. They're finding a manufacturer, the manufacturer has a couple things like, oh, here's like a vitamin C serum that we've made that you can just white label and have it be your own. So it is definitely important to us, especially when we were starting out with with a very all our eggs were in one basket and of this is our hero product. It wasn't like let's make 10 and see what people like. So we wanted it to be our own.
Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of funny that you brought up a marriage with, I guess, the production company, the lab that you work with, because I think that comparison is also used frequently with the investors and the people that you go for fundraising and financing. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to that part of the process in the beginning of setting 4am up, what was your experience like with fundraising? Were there things that you kind of learned over time that you wish you had known when starting out?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, when we first started the brand, we thought, I remember reading the story about Glossier getting $1 million from Kirsten Green with the back of a napkin, and we were like, okay, great, that's what we're gonna do.
That was our first meeting with Kirsten Green.
And then that didn't work out.
COVID,
well, there's plenty of reasons why we weren't able to raise $1 million off of the back of a napkin. It could be a 45-minute long thing.
Longer podcast.
Yeah.
Next podcast is on our fundraising
about our fundraising failures.
Literally.
But I think what I am so happy about now is I actually was just having coffee with another founder of a CPG brand who had raised at the beginning. And she was like, yeah, it was great because her network had been investors and her network, and she was like, I was able to raise before a product. And she had seen a TikTok of mine where I was talking about how I'm actually glad that we had to do kind of everything. We weren't able to throw money at problems. We just had to kind of make sure the messaging was right and now I think it made our organic channels are great now, and our margins are great, and we're and we profitable,
own the company.
and we own the company. And so I think there's definitely room we're definitely going to be fundraising in the future, but I think it puts us in such a better space to be fundraising as well, because we I think investors can smell desperation of I need if we don't raise money, we'll be fine. We'll maybe grow a little bit slower, but we can also understand that we're not going to go bankrupt. So it's a nice feeling to have.
Yeah. And then I guess kind of in relation to that, I feel when I think about you guys, I automatically think about the community that you've built, the support that you've had over the past few years, the fact that I think the first party you did, there was Vogue coverage and just all this incredible stuff, which I think again speaks to the community that you've built. But I guess I also find it really fascinating when you created the product, you had it in your hands, you were ready to deploy. What does it look like getting the first customers that I guess aren't immediate friends and family, getting it out there beyond, I guess?
Yeah, well, it's so funny because when we launched, it was in the summer of 2021, and TikTok wasn't what it is today. I feel I think it was still a little bit some people were contrarian against it and were this is a dancing kids app.
I remember when we launched, we were we're not going to do TikTok.
We were it's below us.
And because we do have, we spent years developing the product. It is it's not it's obviously not La Mer pricing, but it's a Sephora level. It's not the drugstore product, and that was our understanding of what would sell on TikTok is only cheap things, and we didn't want to degrade. We were we are brand, not a we're not but we want you to feel good. One of our whole value props is making all-in-one products that you feel it's still a luxury. So we were really afraid of that, but
but we did our launch with Patron actually, and we created for our hero product is the routine, but it's a set of 2 serums, a rise and a rest serum, and so we did a coffee and cocktail set with coffee beans and then a little mini Patron with 4am engraved on it, and then all the influencers' names engraved on it. And when Patron came to us, they're okay, great, we'll do 250 packages. And we were wait, do we know 250 influencers to give
Well,
this
we
to?
were oh yeah, 250 sounds fine. And then when we were putting together the list, we were because I was I know so many influencers.
Yeah, but it's getting
and then I wrote down the list, and then the list was 50.
And also getting people to actually be okay, yeah, I'll give you my address to send you from this brand that no one had heard about, right? Because we had also I think this is a sidetracked thing, but I think we were very secretive at the beginning about 4 a.m., which I think was actually the wrong thing to do.
Such a mistake.
Yeah, we were like, we need to have a hard launch, and this is it, and this is the day that it's launching, and this is the day that the social is launching. I think if you have an idea of a product, talk about it literally today. Like, even if you have nothing, just an idea, build a community around it. TikTok, it's so easy to do that and get people behind it. And so we were really catching up, like when we launched, we felt like, because we had not built a community about it. And so I remember on my personal TikTok, I had posted like a bunch of Pinterest photos to this lrandom song, being like, is this your vibe? We are this new skincare brand, 4 a.m. We're looking for people to send skincare to if you live in New York, because I was literally hand delivering these products because you can't ship alcohol in the mail because we don't have a license for that. So I was like, it has to be in New York. Like, I will literally come to your apartment and deliver it to you. Please, like, let me know. And we never had a viral video before. Within an hour, it was like 1,000 comments, like 300,000 views, and it was just skyrocketing. But it was crazy, really, like how many people were like, I want to try this. This is such a good idea. Like, I've never heard about this before. It's so refreshing. And it was really TikTok, at which now TikTok is 88% of our business.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's, I mean, maybe even more now, given the past couple months. But it's just so insane that something that were like, we're never going to touch it. Like, it's just something that we're not even going to think about is literally our entire business now.
Yeah.
Wow. And I guess, like, also referencing you guys, first, congratulations for winning the Tower 28 like summer boot camp. It's so cool to have seen that. And I guess, like, I find it really fascinating because I feel like there are a lot of conversations about like accelerators and incubators and if they are like the right move for companies, or like what people or what founders should think of before going into them. And I don't know that much about the Tower 28 summer school, but what did you guys learn from that, and like what was the process?
It was amazing.
It was amazing, and I think it was really helpful because it was beauty specific, and it just got us. Like, it was really, because we had actually been in an accelerator before called Halo, and especially on Female Founders, and I love the team there, and they're great, but it was definitely more just like general startup focus, and there was definitely a lot more like tech companies in there. And as much as there's been a push after like VCs started getting into the space of like CPG and direct to consumer, it's totally a different question. And so like so it was really great to like, everything was beauty specific. Like, we got to talk to retailers, we like talked to just like all of the questions that you had. And it was also, I think the most helpful thing was honestly getting to know the peers and like in our class, as well as people who were like obviously steps ahead of us. And it's a good balance between just seeing the behind the scenes, and like it makes you feel like a lot less, like it made us feel very, very proud, I think, of like of how far we've like come, and also seeing like everyone starts somewhere. You don't like, you hear about these brands when they're like launched all everywhere at Sephora and like doing crazy things. You don't hear about it when it's like the founder hand delivering stuff and whatever. And so like every brand does start somewhere, as much as it, and it's because like I even thought about this recently of like Kosas is like a beauty brand that I thought kind of came out in like 2021 or something like that. And I've heard about it, I think, when Hailey Bieber started posting them, and they launched it, and they were at like, suddenly everyone like loved them at Sephora. But like, I remember haven't done this like the full deep dive, but like seeing that actually it's been a brand for way longer than that.
Like 10 years, right?
Yeah, or something like that. So it's like definitely not. You see this explosive growth only like when the explosive part is happening. You don't see what happens for like the years before that. And even for us, like I think a lot of people are surprised that we launched in like 2021, and so it's been like 2 years now.
Yeah, and I guess like, I know I asked you about the community when it comes to like your customers and everything that you've built there, but I also feel like, I mean, having had you guys speak at some of the events that I've hosted in the past, I know that you guys like are friends with a lot of other founders in the community as well. So what has it been like to also have founders that are maybe like a stage behind you, a stage ahead of you, to mentor you and support you? And like, I always love to hear about that as well.
Oh, it's amazing. Like there's another brand, I'll shout out Experiment Beauty. They're another amazing skincare brand, and Lisa, the founder, is amazing. We have a group chat with her, and sometimes we just like complain. and I think it's amazing to like have other people who get it. I think you can complain to your friends about it or your family about it, but they can comfort you, but they're just not gonna get it in the same way. And even asking for advice, like I remember being like, hey, like who do you bank with? Like I need like a line of credit. Like we're figuring this out. And like so many people in the space are so willing to help you. It's so funny. I found that at the beginning, I thought people were gonna be way more competitive, especially like if you're literally in skincare.
Yeah,
but like everyone has
is a skincare brand. Yeah.
With like pretty similar product lineup, I'd say. But like everyone's been so helpful, and I think the thing is too that we've tried to do as well is find people kind of just a step or two ahead of us. Like I'll even shout out like Emily Heath, she's a makeup brand. She's been one of our mentors for a very long time. And when we were thinking about fundraising at the beginning, she was like, here's how I did it, whatever, you know, let me know if I can introduce you to some people. And every single time we've kind of gone a step ahead or up where you find another mentor that's like at that next stage ahead of us. Because really in beauty, like no one's reinventing the wheel when it comes to the steps of growth. Okay, maybe your products are different, maybe your marketing's different, whatever, but like there is kind of a formula of what there is to do, and I think everyone's realized, okay, I've been in the position that they've been in before, and someone else ahead of me has helped me, so I'm gonna pay it back to someone else if I can. And I think it's such a beauty of the beauty industry that I really wasn't expecting when we first got into it.
Yeah. I also think like everyone says beauty and like skincare are like so saturated, but at the same time, everyone has skin. So that's like my mentality of it. And I think there's going to be a brand for everyone. Like that's one of the changes that's happening. So like I really try not to think of it as like competitively. And if anything, I'm like, oh, like they're doing well, like we should also be able to do well, you know?
For sure. And now just because I really want to know, and I feel like you've had so much success on like TikTok Shop in general, like the growth has been insane. Even from like when I first met you like a few months ago, it's just been great to see like the brand flourish. When it comes to like what's next for 4am, like what are you guys thinking of? Is there stuff that you can share, even if it's just like high level?
I guess the next R&D that we're starting is makeup wipes, which is really exciting.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah, it's something that we've held off on in the past because it's super expensive. And now we're just like, we want our next project. Like our whole thing has been like to do a very small SKU assortment. So if we're gonna do another product, we're gonna have to
make it special.
Like make it special. And even though we've been like really afraid of like the minimum order quantities on them are huge, and also the
custom dev on it.
The custom dev, because we don't want to have, it's not gonna be a white labeled thing. So, and I think we're going to be much more public about this product development than we have in the past, because it's going to be a big investment on our part, and so we want to make sure we're doing it right, and so hearing about people's opinions, etc.
Yeah, and I think it really got justified because we had a meeting with a larger retailer that was like, this makes so much sense for your brand.
Yeah.
Like, and they were really excited about it, and I think if we can pull it off, then we'll be retailed there.
I'd love to hear it.
We'll see.
That's
We're keeping that part DL, but
That's amazing,
in the future.
And then my last question that I ask everyone is, if you could use one word to describe being a founder, what would that word be?
I know it's so overused, but it's like roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a word. I more have like a phrase. I heard this the other day from a founder. The Say Beauty founder, Lainey, she was like, we're all just building the plane as we fly it. And I was like, that is really what every single brand, even the biggest brands in the world, everyone is just building the plane as you fly it. Like, you're just trying to figure out like how to even build a brand. No one has the answers, and I think once you realize that you're not the only one that doesn't have the answers, like even these people who you look up to are like, I don't know what I'm doing. It makes the process so much easier because you're not like putting yourself down or putting so much like, I don't know, I'm losing my words, but yeah, that's just basically it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, thank you both so much for coming on and sharing all your wisdom. Super excited to see what you guys continue to do. And yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.